Hola amigos, and welcome back to another episode of La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host Matthew Human here at Finca Vida Verde. My guest today is Mario Cardona Lang. Mario is my neighbor here in La Covilla, but he is also a very well-known filmmaker here in Costa Rica. He's worked on films like Apocalypto by Mel Gibson and Corner in Paradise with Penelope Cruz. He is a self-described seeker, and he's also the father of my lovely land partner, musician Mario Cardona. It's going to be a great conversation. We're going to go deep into the film and nature. We hope you enjoy. Wow. Mario Cardona, bienvenidos.
Hola.
Welcome to La Vida Verde podcast.
Hola, humano, ¿cómo estás? Uh-huh.
This has been a long time coming. Mario was on my short list of people that I wanted to have because you've been in this area a long time. You're Tico, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew you were one of the original La Covilla members, and I don't know, you have this beautiful vibe. You're a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
You know how this whole thing works, production quality. So thank you. Yo, everybody, what's happening? This is Humano. Guys, thank you, everybody who's been watching this podcast. I want to invite you to join our Patreon, patreon.com/La Vida Verde podcast. We are looking for ways to build our community. We have a lot of great content on there, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. It helps fund this program so we can keep having great guests, great conversations. Go check it out, patreon.com/La Vida Verde podcast. Pura vida.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Let's see what comes up.
I know, this could be fun.
This can be fun. We can play around with it, yeah.
Well, let's start with I knew you were Tico, but I guess I kind of like I don't really know much about your back history.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how you grew up. And
Okay. Well, I was born here, and
in San Jose.
In San Jose. I'm from San Jose, yeah.
Okay.
And in the age of around 7, 8, my family moved for 7 years to the States.
Where?
To Connecticut.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Maria told me this story
we
one
lived
time.
there. We lived in Connecticut for 7 years. Yeah. So we lived there for some time. It was an important experience because it broke my patterns very much. It was like late 60s, early 70s.
No way.
Yeah, and it
What
was
a cool
time. It
time.
was a very intense
You
moment.
were in Connecticut in the late 60s?
Yeah.
Wow.
All the civil rights movement and all the revolution, the cultural revolution.
Yeah.
So I was
Woodstock.
a very young kid, but I got a sense of it, and I really I didn't understand it deeply as later on in life, but it was but I was in that vibe. I understood it. Okay, I felt it.
Mm-hmm.
So later after that, after 7 years, I came back, graduated from the same school that I left, which was Lincoln School here in Costa Rica.
Where?
In San Jose.
What part of San Jose?
That school at that time was in Moravia.
Okay.
And and then I came back, graduated with the same classmates that I had left.
So you left 8 years. You left for 8 years.
And then I came back and
wow, what a trip that must have been! Like your whole world is just completely different when you come back. Right?
Yeah. And I missed them so much. I had, my deepest friends were in that school. So for me, I really wanted to come back. I really, really longed to come back. So. But the experience in Connecticut was very interesting, not only as a cultural shock, because at that time, Latinos were weird in that moment,
They were weird? What do you mean they were weird?
Yeah, I mean, either
Latinos are still weird.
Yeah,
Come on.
no, we're not weird, man. You guys are weird. We're the grounded ones.
We're all a little weird.
We're the grounded
Come
ones.
on, we're all a little weird, Mario.
We're all in our processes of evolution. Really, no. I love them all. I love everybody.
Same.
But
Same,
anybody,
same. We joke. We're joking, by the way.
We're joking.
Don't think Don't take any of this seriously. Okay, so you came back and
So I came back, but I was sharing that it is super important as a cultural exchange, mutation. It opened my mind. It opened my DNA in order to live in any part of the world. Because I mean, as a young kid, when you go and you have to go into a school that speaks another language, that thinks very differently from you, and everything starts to change. We went a lot to New York City, and we had a very deep cultural immersion, seeing everything. I mean, like music, theater, film, music, everything. So it was really dance. Because my sister was a dancer, and
cool.
we used to go see the big dance companies.
Are older.
Yeah, they're all older than me.
Okay, yeah. You were the young.
I'm the young guy.
You're the young guy. Cool.
Yeah. So then I came back. It was great, and I was here for 3 years, and then took off again.
Where'd you go?
France. Yeah. I went to study in the University of Paris. I was there for 4 years.
What'd you study?
And I originally went to study clinical psychology.
Oh.
Trying to understand my
brain,
my life a bit, and I was very young. I was 18, and then like a year later, I switched into filmmaking.
Okay.
Because I discovered the image. I discovered how much I was passionate about it, and part of that reason why I went to study clinical psychology is because I really wanted to understand what I was made out of, And I was a very sensitive kid, I just I felt everything very much.
What's your birthday, Mario?
February 3rd.
Oh, you're Pisces. Then.
No, I'm Aquarius.
Aquarius.
I'm Aquarius.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
And
it still works.
And when I was 17, I don't know if this is allowed in this podcast, but I guess yes. But when I was 17,
what happened? What happened when you were 17?
Yeah.
Anything's allowed in this podcast,
I had my first journey with mushrooms.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it was when I was 17, and it was like I didn't know what I was getting into, but I was a sensitive kid. I wanted to explore the universe. That's why I told you I'm a seeker, and it was the first time I experienced unity, I remember we had taken these mushrooms that came out of the cow manure, and they were the right ones, and we put some honey on them, and we started eating, and I said to my friends, my school friends, the ones I came back to that I really loved, and said, hey man, this thing's it's not doing anything. And all of a sudden, I needed to go pee. And I went under a tree. And while I was there, I started to understand that tree and me were one.
Yeah.
So that was a very intense experience. And
I had a very similar experience when I was 17. It was LSD. It wasn't mushrooms when I started, but it was that same thing. It was the first time I realized that nature was alive.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting.
Yeah.
How does your life? You don't go back after that.
No, and it became part of my exploration because I remember I came back home, and my sister at that time, the one that was studying in New York City, was now studying in Switzerland, and I saw her, and she was very, she had a broad mind. But she didn't have that much of a broad mind, And I came back and I felt like, oh, it's a pity they can't see these things, So it became an existential search,
Mm-hmm.
in a way.
Totally.
And when you have these type of experiences, it's hard to integrate them, especially when you're so young. So I guess that was a very important experience in my life,
Wow.
and yeah, I went back to France. There, I discovered the image first as a street photographer. I didn't speak French, so I went 6 months before getting into college, and I had a lot of time for myself. So I bought a camera, and I roamed in the streets of Paris, and I discovered a lot seeing the images that I generated that time. And it was film. It was at that time it was film. It wasn't digital. So I got into processing in the dark room and all these things. So yeah, that brought me into filmmaking, where I found a passion,
Mm.
and I've been doing that ever since.
You still have the passion for it?
I still have the passion for telling stories. I still have the passion for the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a very deep passion for nature.
Uh-huh.
And that's where, like, living here has been a great teacher. Being close to the Machuca River, it's
Yeah.
been a beautiful master, a very deep transformational master of my life, of everything. Because many times you think romantically about nature, but nature is so powerful that you can't get away from all these things inside of you that need to settled and find their space. So they're processes of very deep transformation, and my life in these 10 years has shifted and changed in many, many ways. And that has expressed in my daily life, in the way that I see life, in the way that I see people, that I relate, but also in the way that I create my stories. And I'm a lover of light. I love light, and even if you're using in my craft artificial light, everything I do with lighting comes from nature. I understand. I understand nature. I understand what's the emotion that an angle of light or a quality of light, how it falls on the object or subject. I understand the emotion that can come out of that. So I play a lot with that.
So
And,
if you want to become a filmmaker, take mushrooms. Because it'll help you understand nature.
well, yeah, it's not only this latter part that I'm telling you about. Yeah, I've tried other power plants, but what I'm really I'm sharing right now, I haven't needed. Well, they have imprinted in me, like that expansion.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm really like thinking of my natural state.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you have a spiritual practice?
Yeah, I do. I practice Buddhism. I've been I meditate almost every day,
Mm-hmm.
and my life is yeah. I need that part of my daily practice.
Same.
And it's beautiful.
Same.
It's beautiful. It's powerful, and it's a way of connecting to yourself, of connecting to others. Because what's wonderful about Buddhism is that I had practiced a lot of meditation during my life. Ever since I was in France, I started doing transcendental meditation. When I was in that existential crisis, I remember one day talking to my mom. She said, "You should meditate. You should meditate."
Your mom?
You're my mom. My mom.
Wow.
Yeah, she was very like avant-garde. She was very forward-thinking, and that was a blessing.
Uh-huh.
So she said, and she had started meditating, And she said, "Why don't you look for MT, MT or
TM.
TM,
Yeah.
TM in MT is in Spanish,
Right.
Meditación
Meditación
Trascendental."
yeah.
So I did look for it, and they gave me my mantra, and I started meditating. But the interesting part and the difference between all these types of meditation
Mhm.
and the one that and the Buddhist meditation I'm doing now is that everything now that I do is for the benefit of others.
Mm.
And that's so interesting because it if we're talking about nature, I mean the interconnectedness of nature, you know, about mycelium, and you know about how these micro cosms of uh, they work and they feed themselves. They nurture themselves. If some plant is sick and the other plant has the remedy, there's an interconnectedness where they receive that nutrient or whatever it's needing in that moment to heal.
Mm.
So when you bring that into your human experience, it's a blessing because first of all, it takes you away from yourself, which is the main reason for suffering. When I'm so centered in myself,
Right.
I suffer.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Why God? Why God?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why
yeah.
God?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
Why me? Why me?
I know.
Why me? Yeah.
It's so
It's,
true.
it's not
So
like
when you
that.
do your so when you with your Buddhist meditation, you are focusing on the others. You're focusing
I'm
on
focusing on space. I don't focus. I just allow myself to enter into the space of the mind.
emptiness.
And in that space of the mind, I whatever is coming and whatever experience that I can, that is being purified in me, is being purified in others also.
see.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's very.
That's so
It's
beautiful.
cool. It's cool, man. It's cool. It's cool. It makes you lighter, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a liberation. It's a liberation. Yeah.
And you're not living in Ecovia anymore. Your house is for sale, right?
Yeah, my house is for sale, but I'm very much connected to my house is still there. I'm very much connected to the valley,
Yeah.
and
You like it here.
I like it here, and you know what? We've started a group of people that we created a group that's called Amigos del Río Machuca.
Ah, you're part of the Cuenca.
I'm part of the Cuenca del Río Machuca.
Okay,
And,
that's the watershed. That's our local watershed organization.
yeah, it's the basin. It's a Machuca basin that, you know, I'm the reason why my family and we decided to settle here when nothing was, well, Tacotal was here
Yeah.
already,
Yeah.
but down in Ecovilla,
You were some of the originals down
Yeah.
there. Yeah, there was not much
was
there.
because of the Machuca,
Mhm.
because of the Machuca River, and it was like wow, breathtaking. You
Yeah.
know, when we went that, it was like beautiful, beautiful,
Mhm.
and very. It was overwhelming in a very positive sense.
Mhm.
So we said, yeah, we want this. We didn't come here to look for community. We
Mhm.
came here because of nature.
Nature.
And later on, the experience of community has gone through a 10-year process.
In
which
La
is-
Covia, it has, for
yeah, and that is another that's another animal.
sure. It's
It's a completely different, you know, it's something that's very, very interesting, and that I see also the evolution of how people correlate with each other in a much more fluid way right now.
You mean as opposed to when you first got there?
Oh
there
yeah,
was a lot
absolutely.
of maybe a little a
Yeah,
lot of
there
chaos.
was there was a lot of is it chaos? Yeah, it could have been chaos. It could have been, you know,
Mistrust?
It was diversity misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
Misunderstood diversity
Yeah.
because, you know, when you are
Yeah.
allow yourself to hear and without judging,
Mhm.
a whole new world expands, opens up, you know.
Right.
But when you're there, you're like criticizing. I don't like what this guy. I don't like how he looks. I don't
Is
like.
this guy gonna be like this
Yeah.
forever? That guy's gonna
Yeah.
complain a lot. He complains a lot. Is he gonna keep complaining?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
am I can I live with this person? Those questions come up a lot in the community.
So now what we're discovering is that diversity is powerful, man. It's so powerful because that's what we're made of. That's how society is made of. It's diversity. And when you embrace diversity, a whole revolution of coexistence unfolds. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious, like maybe from that perspective, like as a Costa Rican, when you saw, I mean, you're a very international person. You've traveled a lot. You've lived in the U.S. You've lived in France, but like still, as a Tico, what did you feel like at first when Ecovia was happening? Were you very like open? Were you like, this is gonna be amazing, this diversity, all these people coming, or was there a little bit of like, these people are like, who are these people? Because now there's this sense of like, there is a little bit in Costa Rica. I feel the backlash a little bit of like, wow, we've been very open to expats and immigration, and there's some underlying bit of like, this is too much, or like, you know, are we doing this right, or, you know, do you have any perspective on that or any feelings around it?
Many feelings.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, many feelings.
I like hearing from
yeah.
Costa Rican perspective.
Well, when I first came here, I wasn't as aware of that phenomenon. I was more self-centered in my own experience. And right now, after 10 years of being here, and after seeing how the Machuca Valley is becoming a magnet of attraction to so many people from around the world, that's a concern that I have. I have a concern about the local people. And I feel it's a new type of colonization that if it's not well treated, it's going to be a very unbalanced situation where the land prices go up enormously, where everything goes up in prices enormously, where people are dislocated because of that influence. And there's a big job to be done. You know, when we're talking about community, we have to talk about everybody. We have to be inclusive. And we have to be respectful also of not only of the land, you know, when we're talking about developing community in a sense of regenerating the land also, we have to talk about regenerating that new society that is being born, including everyone, including everyone's needs and realities. And I guess that's an aspect that's very important to I guess I feel it's very important.
Okay.
Very, very important. So I think that it's a process like everything, and I'm part of the people, which I'm not by myself. I see many that are on the same page in that sense. So there's we're working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're working with the Cuenca, which I think is
yeah.
part of that solution. I mean, that's honestly, it's kind of that double-edged sword. It's like with the immigration and comes ideas and opportunity and money. And also, like, I don't know if this Cuenca or this Rio Machuca organization would have been started necessarily, or would be so robust without that phenomenon, because a lot of the people that are coming here are very ecologically minded. And to me, this is like, we're creating, I think many people here are coming here hoping to create a better example of how the world can be. And so the Cuenca is just the Friends of the Rio Machuca is one of those organizations that has kind of popped up that is like, okay, how do we preserve our local ecosystem? How do we keep our river clean? How do we keep our water clean? How do we keep, so what's your, I guess I don't really have a question. That was kind of a statement.
Yeah. Well, my perspective on that is that it's correct.
Yeah.
Uh,
I figured we agree on that.
it's correct, and what I feel here is that, and I was specifically talking about that with some friends, because when you come to a land and develop that land in a way of creating a community, or a real estate development project, which
Right.
is the container of the community.
Well,
And
of
if
some of the community. I mean, Taco Tal is not. We were
Yeah,
never a real
that's
estate
that's
development
right,
program.
that's right.
But the Ecovia,
And
Alegria, Ecovia
Alegría,
San
Ecovilla,
Mateo,
yeah, that's the way
that's
it
their
is. That's
model.
the way. That's the model. But anyway, uh, if they come with the right mind structure for that, which is regenerative, and which is really like helping the land to heal, and that's very positive. If you don't have that mindset, it's going to be destructive.
Yeah.
Okay, because the population, the growth in the population is very, it's a concern. But so I think you can find a very good balance in that. The part that is most delicate and vulnerable, I think, is the water consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I feel that we have to really take care of the river basin, because we have to change practices that, in agriculture. We have to help change practices in agriculture, in cattle grazing, in everything that we do. And we have to plant trees. We have to protect the borders of the river, so that the river has that holds that water flow. And that's a big job. It's a very big job. But the interesting part of it is that there are some very, very um, high-end professionals that really know how to impact the local society, and how to impact the communities that are emerging, and create a balance in all of that. So it's also a process.
We have such a good. I know, and I love all the people working on the Cuenca. It's like such a diverse group of people,
Yeah.
like from different fields. Like you as a filmmaker,
Mm-hmm.
like you're a nature lover, but your skill is that you're a filmmaker. Are you gonna does that come into play, like with the group? Is that kind of your angle, is to like help create content? Or
I'm very interested in creating a film about all these phenomena of new societies that are emerging. And that's part of it. It's a new way of coexisting. It's a new way of co-relating. It's a new way of relating to the land. It's a new way of bringing the collective principle versus the competitional, collective and collaborative instead of the competitive. I believe in following nature. That's the way nature it survives, and the ones that if we don't do that, the ones that will lose are us, human species. The planet will survive,
yeah,
but the species
Yeah.
is the problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if we do, it's our own fault.
Yeah.
But well, I want to ask you because there's something I really don't know much about and something you've had a lot of experience is cinema in Costa Rica. What has been like? What is? Can you tell us just a little bit? Like a lot of our viewers are maybe not familiar with, like we're all familiar with U.S. movies and these kinds of like big Hollywood and Bollywood, these kinds of things. What's cinema like here? Like, what has been your experience? Is it a big, or is there a lot of people? Is it a small club, or?
It's been expanding. I mean, I've been in this field for many years, and I was one of the pioneers in filmmaking here also. And there's a lot of new blood in the stream. Uh-huh.
Keep the blood out of the stream.
Uh-huh. A lot of new blood that
In the
is very,
veins.
very creative. Very creative, yeah. So a lot of film has been emerging in the past years.
Cool.
Yeah. film in Costa Rica, in Central America, films that are winning awards in international festivals. And there's a special, I remember, from when we started, like 30 some years ago, mm, there was a passion in everyone that started working here
Mm.
in film, and and very good crews have developed, very good ideas, scripts, very good directors. There's a lot of very good female directors. I mean, those are the ones that have won most of the international prizes, awards, and there's a very good male also. But I
Mm.
mean, it's something that expanding more and more.
Do you have like
And
a list of top five that you like that
yeah,
you recommend,
I'm
or
I'm very bad at memories right now, but I'll send you a list.
give me a short list,
I'll
and
send.
also like yours, like what is your like if people want to know like Mario Cardona's like do you have like your what do they call it the top your like what you consider one of your favorite things that you've ever produced?
Yeah, well, I've worked in a film called La Segua many years
La
ago.
Segua.
Uh-huh, which is a legend. It's a Latin American legend. I've worked on a film called Caribe, which is a film on the Caribbean coast, and also
Documentary.
no, it's a feature. Both of those are
Uh-huh.
feature films. And the latter is the first one is the recreation of a legend. The second one it's a film about oil exploitation
Mm-hmm.
and the resistance of the community towards that exploitation.
Mm.
I've worked on a film called Apocalypto.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I've heard of Apocalypto.
Apocalypto is a film directed by Mel Gibson, and
You worked on it.
yeah, sure.
Oh.
And that's an interesting story at one time.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
what's the Mel Gibson story?
yeah. That's.
You got to work with Mel Gibson?
I was in a production. I was in a production meeting at the office, and my assistant she calls me and she says, "Mel Gibson's on the phone," and I said, "What?" Yeah, Mel Gibson's on the
The
phone.
Mel
Yeah.
Gibson?
So I picked up the phone and he said, "Mario." I said, "Mel, how are you?" "Yeah, well, listen, I'm here with Ana Roth, and Ana Roth was the line producer of Apocalypto, and we had worked together on another film, which was A Corner in Paradise."
I'm not familiar with that
Very
one.
good Mexican producer,
Mm.
and he said, "Listen, we're filming Apocalypto here in Mexico, in Veracruz, but we need to get some vistas that show a huge extension of land where there's no deforestation.
Oh.
And I want to know if we can film those things here in Costa Rica, there in Costa Rica." And I said, "Yes, sure. Sure you can." So we agreed on, we did our scouting. We sent him the images of the angles that we shot, thought were good. So yeah, we did that. We did that project, and then when I went to Mexico and brought the rushes in that time, which are the dailies of what we shot, he was fascinated, and then he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm here, having this experience." He said, "Do you want to stay with us? Be on board?" So I filmed. I also stayed on a second unit
Wow.
in Veracruz. And yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So I was there for some months.
Apocalypto. Now that you say it, I'm remembering. It's the
Hmm.
one about the
Yeah,
Mayans.
the Mayan.
That was a
Yeah.
crazy movie. That's such
Hmm.
an intense movie, actually.
Very intense, and he
Yeah.
is also very intense.
Who, Mel?
Yeah, but he's
Oh, yeah, the Passion of
he's
Christ.
he's brilliant. He's a brilliant filmmaker. I
Yeah,
think he's very
amazing.
very good.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know you worked on that film.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And many documentaries. A film I like very much is I produced and filmed was Stardust, and it's a documentary about a Costa Rican sculptor, Jorge Jimenez de Heredia. And that film was a film about he's a very well known, at that time he wasn't so well known in the world, but he had been discovered by a film critic, French one, the one that created the French Nouveau movement in art. And he discovered Jimenez de Heredia in the Venice festival, art festival. So in that moment, we connected in that moment, and I made a film about him.
Cool.
And I'm very much into documentary right now.
I was gonna
that.
say that. I know that you're kind of moved, and also saw Cyril's music video that you helped produce that, right?
Yeah, well, I did it.
I
produced it. Yeah.
That was so good. I was so impressed. It was beautiful.
Good, man.
And wait, who was? I'm trying to remember. Was that one of the? That was the little kid. Was what's his name from Ecovia, right?
Yes. He looks like her, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? Hold on.
I can't remember his name, but he's a very, very sweet boy.
Yeah, no, it's like on the tip of my tongue too. Well, anyways, it's hot. We're sweating here.
Yeah.
Mario, I wish we could have talked more about film, actually, because I think it's so fascinating. You obviously have a lot of experience, but I also, I'm seeing this as like where your like passion is like really like nature is so deep inside you and it drives you. So I'm just really grateful. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure, bro.
Yeah,
pleasure.
and
good.
Maybe we'll have to do more. Can we maybe? You think we could use some clips of some of his work and put it in the intro?
Sure.
Yeah. Would that be okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want to check out more, what are you working on right now?
All right. Right now, I'm working on two projects. One project is on the Blue Zone, the centenaries of the Blue Zone.
Those are the people that live over 100 years.
Those are the people that live over 100 years, and it's a very interesting phenomenon around the world. I think there are 4 or 5 places in the world that are called Blue Zones. And I'm also working, actually 3 projects. And I'm working on the community project that I'm telling you about that what's developing here in the Cuenca of Machuca.
Oh, you're doing it? Okay.
I'm in the process of research and development.
All right. Let me know if I can be of service.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
I have some experience here.
And I'm also working on a film for with my Buddhist friends. That is called Sangha. And Sangha means the community. If you are part of the family, you are part of the Sangha.
Right.
So we're working on that film also.
You meditate with Carlos's group?
With Carlos.
The Diamond Way.
The Diamond Way, yeah.
Diamond Way Buddhist. We had Carlos on the podcast.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's a great friend.
Cool group. Okay, and if people want to see some of you, like, do you want people to contact you, or how can people reach you?
Well, yeah, sure. My website is MarioCardonaLang.com.
Mario Cardona Lang.
Lang, L-A-N-G. Yeah.
So Mario Cardona Lang.
.com. Yeah. That's where you can see
some
of the stuff I've been producing.
We have so much more to talk about, but this podcast is so short. Maybe can we do like a little extra? Yeah, let's do a little extra for Patreon. We'll just keep talking about it.
Patreon. Okay.
Patreon. We got
to
try and get our support.
Great.
Mario Cardona Lang, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, brother. Good to see you.
Check out Mario's work. This is La Vida Verde podcast. My name is Matthew Human. I'm your host. We release episodes every Tuesday. I have to shout out Ecoteas Mate. Thank you so much for your support. You can find us on Instagram at Finca Vida Verde CR. We are on Facebook at Finca Vida Verde. You can please check out our Patreon, patreon.com/La Vida Verde podcast, where we have extras, behind the scenes, all these kinds of things. And we will check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And yeah, that's it. It's been great. Thank you, Mario.
Thank you.
We'll see you next
Bye-bye.
time. Pura
Bye-bye.
vida.
Thank you.